consumers don't really think about the variable cost of their transportation and the fuel that it takes for the transportation. The APTERA can cover, most of your daily driving needs, and we hope that everyone here, when they get their APTERA, 98% of your fuel is covered by the sun. But people that are driving gas vehicles or even electric vehicles today, they're just not really thinking about the cost of that. But fleets are really concerned about the cost of fueling their vehicles. So you can imagine that there's a lot of fleet opportunities for APTERA where our total cost of ownership, the cost of the power, the cost of your batteries, the cost of brake changes, the cost of changing your oil, all those kind of rolled into your total cost of ownership. And we're less than half of the total cost of ownership over 10 years versus a Toyota Camry. And you have a lot of companies that want to go electric, that want to go green, but they don't want to have to install the charging infrastructure to charge, say, 100 regular electric vehicles. The utility is going to say that's too much power. We don't have enough power for you to charge 100 of a typical EV on your property. So they go, okay, well, what do we do? Okay, well, maybe we get a bunch of properties around town and we have little small charging lots where they can dump enough power to charge our fleet vehicles. The APTERA totally gets rid of that. The vehicles are being charged by the sun. You can have 1,000 APTERA in a parking lot, all being charged by the sun. Everybody's happy. If you are exceeding kind of 40 miles a day in your usage, okay, what do you do? Well, you only need a very small, 1,300 watt cord, a regular extension cord from your garage to charge the APTERA back 150 miles overnight. So even in places where there's limited power, getting an extension cord type charging device to an APTERA is very, very easy compared to a $5,000 EV charger that has to have 240 volt, 50 amp service to each one, and they're consuming a lot of power. So we can see.
I'll just say here that he just is waffling with snake oil, like I always say, but you're listening to his logic, and his logic is flawed. I'm not going to give the logic, but there is, if anybody can actually think for themselves, there are logical reasons why what he's saying doesn't ring true. He's selling the snake oil. In the past, I have made videos that explain why his logic doesn't ring true. I'll leave it at that.
A lot of service industry, a lot of checking meters, a lot of security, a lot of things like that being just the perfect place for APTERA. And we think our three-wheeled vehicle will evolve into other more utilitarian platforms. We'll take out the passenger seat. You'll be able to have that be more utility. We'll have a rear hatch that has more storage, possibly open like a clamshell so you can get packages in and out, deliveries in and out. But think of Uber Eats and FedEx and utility guys and security guys. We think that in the long term we could be selling more fleet vehicles than we are selling consumer vehicles. So we think there's some great opportunity. And this graph created by Blake showing our total cost of ownership is just an amazing example of where the rest of the industry is and where APTERA is. We get so much more range. We're so much easier to charge because we're so much more efficient. And when fleet owners are kind of making purchase decisions, this graph says it all. It's about total cost of ownership and the performance of the vehicle and all the infrastructure that you need to make those things happen.
Well, I was baffled by that graph. If that says it all, I'm just wondering what was said at all.
Now I wanted to bring Blake to talk through our IPO strategy and some more of our growth. But this leads right into the offering terms that we have here, and then we can take some questions.
Pick your seat. Sorry for the loud noise, everybody.
Sorry. We got loud for a little bit.
All right. I'm going to move the camera so you can see.
And that part is really amateurish. These people, if they want to sell the snake oil and look professional, they should have taken care of the parts that make them look really backyard.
How's that? Is that good, Casey?
Blake's our amazing VP of Finance, and he helps create the financial model and does a lot of the legwork and our compliance stuff and our crowdfunding offerings. So wanted him here to help answer some questions.
Poor Blake.
Great. Let's do it.
Our IPO strategy. We're positioned well to be a
This is the big thing on the wall that I am wondering whether is real or more CGI. If this is CGI, then their practices are gutter practices. Nobody should put up CGI pictures. So can somebody tell me what building that is and whether they have seen that particular sign?
regular reporting company with the SEC. Blake and her team works hard, but what's involved in really our regular reporting to the SEC now?
We have lots of filings to do with the Regulation A offering that we had open before. We have the new offerings that we've just posted on the SEC website, so we stay to maintain those and the continued offerings that we have as we start to carve our way in the path to go public.
We think the right time to go public is when we're
What is Blake looking at up in that left-hand corner?
just starting to ship vehicles in volume. So we think that proves the technology, it proves that people really want it, and it proves that we can make it in a volume fashion at a rate and a profitability that makes sense for long-term viability. The process to go public takes about 6 to 9 months. It involves a lot of lawyers and a lot of accountants.
It's going to be a ton of fun. It's one of the main reasons why I joined the team. I'm really looking forward to it, but we'll be scaling up quite a bit when we go through that process.
And amazing news that we've actually been approved by the NASDAQ for the use of the ticker symbol SUNA. So SUNA is the word. Hard A.
SUNA.
It's a sunny day.
Tell everyone.
It's
SUNA.
it's
Just read that one backwards. ANUS. And I really think that they're really having a dig just by registering this name. What was wrong with APTERA? Had somebody taken that one already? Why on earth come up with anus spelt backwards?
It's the future's bright and sunny for APTERA. I'm sure your comments could maybe phrase it in many other ways, but we like sunny. Being a public entity would really allow us more funding options. So, once we're a public company, we have more public liquidity. It just really opens up the different funding options that we have to grow the company. So, we think that it could be amazingly valuable to our growth, and it could allow us to do a lot of things that maybe we couldn't do as a private company. We think we have an amazing story too, so we think that the kind of public traction that we could have could be like really no other companies had. We have over 17,000 investors in APTERA now, so that's a huge crowd. We have over 1 million people following us on social media. We have an email newsletter list of over 100,000 people that we get tremendous engagement numbers out of. So when we're talking to New York types and big bank types about our IPO strategy, they all get really excited about the possibilities for us. So. It brings us to our current offering and how we get into position to do an IPO. Our current Reg CF offering is on the website that you're currently on. So if you scroll down and read the offering circular, you can click on the invest button and actually invest at $10.50 a share. This offering is for a maximum of $5 million, and you can invest until June 30th. But it's not just this Reg CF offering. If you're an accredited investor, you can also invest in what's called our Reg D offering. So as you go through the investment process, if you check the box that says accredited, you can actually get up to 10% bonus shares on your investment if you invest as an accredited investor. So we think that will really help close out the crowdfunding strong and give us more capital to build out the facility and ramp quicker and do all the things that we're trying to do, including ramp into our U.S. capital raise after this. But any comments on the Reg D or how people should think about that?
No, we opened up these two offerings to keep the crowdfunding rolling till the end of June 30th before the cutoff that we have with U.S. capital. So go ahead and invest in that. The Reg D doesn't have the max of $5 million, so you can kind of participate in that to whatever level you want. But the Reg CF for non-accredited investors will be capped out at 5.
We think that the future is amazingly sunny for APTERA. So we hope that you all will join our journey and support us in any way you can. We're terribly humbled by the amount of support that we've gotten so far. To the 17,000 plus investors, thank you so much for your support. We know we're going to close out this crowdfunding stream, and we're going to be ready to tackle the future. So maybe some questions now, and we can answer anything you guys are curious about, guys or girls.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alrighty, first questions from
Look over there and kind of say it into the mic.
Oh,
I'll just say that this is going really badly. And once again, need I say more?
We can hear it.
working on our Red Bull sponsorship too.
Okay, first question is from Tony. I was recently at the Long Beach Electrify Expo, where another vehicle manufacturer present said they were using APTERA solar panel technology on their vehicle. I was impressed with the amount of solar generation they were able to fit on their vehicle. Can you provide us any figures about how much more efficient or energy dense your solar panel technology is compared to other vehicle solar PV solutions?
That's a terribly technical question, so I'll have to punt on most of it. But but the coatings that we use on our panels are much better than what you can find in kind of the retail market. I would hazard to put a number on it without really talking to Reed, but it's got to be in the 10 to 20% more efficient range just because of the different coatings that we use. But also our amazing partner Maxion, we get a very specialized cell from them that's more efficient than what you'll typically find in the market. You'll find 17 to 20% efficiency in the typical market, stuff you can find on Amazon type products. We're up to over 24% efficient now, and we actually have some ways to go above and beyond that, hopefully here in the near future. So our cells are more efficient, and the coatings that we use on the cells are more efficient. So when you add all that together, we could conceivably be significantly more efficient than kind of anything else you can get out there in the landscape.
I'll repeat, poor Blake.
Can you speak more about the delivery plan? You mentioned partnering with tribes. This is very interesting. So what kind of distribution?
Our distribution plan mostly is we hope that people will come to the facility to have their APTERA delivered, and we can take you on a test drive. We can have somebody teach you how to use the APTERA, and you can kind of have a delivery experience here, and then you can drive home, whether it be 200 miles or 2,000 miles. You will have to charge a couple times if you're going 2,000 miles. But we think that factory experiences are great for delivery options. But as we stretch out and get bigger, people will want to have their vehicles delivered all across the nation. And there's some areas that you just can't deliver our vehicles because you have to have a dealership in that state. And we may not want to open a dealership. So partnering with tribal lands, because they are a sovereign state, you could actually receive your APTERA on tribal land. So working with communities, which are often economically depressed, adds jobs to different tribes around
Doesn't Chris realise that he's covered that?
the nation, and gives them some economic advantages because the tribes have taxes on delivery just like the state would too. So it's a great kind of middle ground to where we can have delivery in states that have more stiff restrictions and also benefit underserved tribal communities around the nation. So.
And you can buy a couple of blankets while you're there.
Okay, next question is from Matthew. Will the funding via U.S. capital be equity, debt, or some combination of both?
We expect it's a combination,
Yeah.
but the terms will be worked out hopefully this week, and we'll be able to know more about that. And once the SEC approves that and FINRA approves that, then we'll be able to send a link around, and people can actually view that the details of that offering themselves.
Yeah, we've done a lot of due diligence to get through the process with U.S. Capital, and we're very close to being able to announce the specific terms on that. So look forward to that coming before the end of the month.
It is a different kind of round, though. It's not a round that's like open to the public like this.
Right.
So U.S. Capital has their own process and their own partners and their own base of people to complete that round. So, but they're excited.
So they're promising to get something in either next week or before the end of this month. Let's watch out for that. Let's see if they can actually meet deadlines that are very short, only within days of announcement, because they haven't been able to meet deadlines that are long term. But we only need to watch out till the end of this month to make sure that this promise has been delivered.
Excited. We have calls with them regularly, and they're excited to get going, and we're excited to work with them. They're an amazingly capable global group, and we think they'll be a great long-term partner, not just for this round, but for things we need in the future and as we go public and beyond.
Okay, thank you. The next question is from Mary Lynn. Do you think this current crowdfunding will be the last, with IPO happening in the first part of 2025?
We do think that we may hold the option open to do future crowdfunding. You never know the timing of an IPO, so we may keep the option open to do more crowdfunding. But our anticipation is that we finish this crowdfunding, we complete the U.S. capital round, and then we're looking at bigger funding strategies with government support or big loans or an IPO or all sorts of things. How the timing of all that and how that interplays is, we're a startup, and the number one skill we have to have is being flexible and being nimble. So we will continue to do that.
Yeah, it's going to play heavily with how we work with U.S. Capital and the investors that they bring our way. So it'll be in a combination with that.
Great.
Blake was able to say something. A minor miracle.
How many APTERA might you produce during the 6-month production ramp up, and how will they be used? Will any be delivered to accelerator investors?
Yeah, we expect the ramp up to be deliverable vehicles. So accelerator investors will be delivered their vehicles, and hopefully be willing to work with us. Obviously we want to follow all the initial vehicles to make sure there's no problems. We'll do a lot of internal testing and durability and shakeout here, so we'll find a lot of those little problems. But the first 2,000 vehicles that go out there, they'll be very valuable information gathering devices. Improving the user interface experience. This button's in the wrong place. It'd be much easier if it was higher contrast or in a different spot or stuff like that. Little things like that, I think, will become of those first vehicles. But the ramp over the first 6 months, I mean, it's several hundred vehicles. I'm trying to total it up in my mind, but
that first 6 months of ramp is really the hardest to predict for us. So it'll depend on the timing of the funding coming in and how we're executing on those steps to get that figured out. Once we get closer to that date, we can share those numbers.
And importantly, the supply chain. Some getting those parts in early. Some suppliers will be like, "You want 1,000 of them tomorrow? We can ship 1,000 of them tomorrow." Some will be like, "It's hard for us to ramp up too." So it would help us if we ramped up and shipped you 50 and then 50 and then 100 and then 200. It's a lot of supply chain coordination too. So funding and supply chain are really what dictate that. But it's several hundred to commission the line and really get things ramped up here. And then after that 3 to 6 month period of ramp up, then it's basically full bore, build as many as you can per shift, 40 per shift. And if we add a second shift, it's 80 per day. And that gets you to about 20,000 vehicles a year.
That's all for me. Bye for now. Stay safe.